All right, business time now. And for all the latest news, we can take you to the Swiss Alps. That's where the World Economic Forum is taking place. Our business editor, Kate Moody, is braving what look like rather chilly temperatures there. Kate, thanks for being a good sport and popping outside for us. Today, one of the topics that you're looking into is business leaders' confidence looking ahead.
Absolutely. That is one of the top things that's being talked about here at this gathering of 3,000 politicians and business leaders, how they view the coming year after what was, of course, a rather turbulent 2016. Now, some of the highlights on the program at the World Economic Forum this Wednesday include speeches by the outgoing U.S. Vice President Joe Biden and Alibaba head Jack Ma. There's also a discussion that seems to address many of the concerns that we're seeing around the world. It's a panel featuring Christine Lagarde, Larry Summers, titled Squeezed and Angry, How to Fix a Middle-Class Crisis. Low-income growth and the feeling of being left behind, of course, are issues that have played into some of the changes that we've seen over the past year and the wave of populism that we've seen spreading around the globe. Now, to discuss a lot of the issues that are on today's agenda, I'm joined here by Isabelle Allen, Global Head of Clients and Markets at KPMG. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. Now, you work with some of the biggest companies in the world. How are they feeling at the end of an undeniably turbulent 2016 as they look forward to the year ahead?
Well, you're right. 2017 is starting in a very uncertain way, and the Davos agenda reflects that. We've had the first visit by a Chinese president. We've got in 2 days' time, the inauguration from Mr. Trump. We've got Theresa May's speech yesterday. Navigating a global business today is very complicated when the big powers around the world are not very clear into what they mean by their next fiscal policies, what the trade environment is going to look like, and that's what's been number one of the agenda of the conversations we've had today.
Now, we've seen some surveys of bosses around the world saying they're actually surprisingly confident about the atmosphere heading into the coming year. Are your clients reflecting that same sentiment?
Yes, absolutely. And it's probably the most surprising element for me in Davos this year is just the dichotomy between the uncertainty in the external geopolitical environment on the one hand and the inner confidence by a lot of CEOs that, yes, they are able to transform their business. Yes, they are going to seize the opportunities of what's happening in China, for example. And yes, they are going to embrace technology disruption, artificial intelligence, cognitive, to make their business more performing and also exploit new territories.
Now, you alluded to Theresa May's speech about Brexit yesterday, her plans for the future. Do you think that creates more challenges or opportunities for your industry and your clients?
Well, I think what it does is provide a path to more certainty. And what our business and our clients' business need is an understanding of what's likely to be around the corner. And I think her speech yesterday is starting to provide a roadmap into clarity over what's going to happen in the future.
Now, you're also a French native, a transplant to London. France, of course, facing elections this coming year. And the labour market is one of the big topics of discussion. What's your take on the business environment in France?
So at a macro level, what we're seeing in France is very much the same as what we're seeing in the UK and other countries where we go around the world. What's happening in France is probably the same degree of lack of visibility that we had prior to the Brexit vote in the UK last year. But also underneath that, a lot of confidence from some of our French clients that they are going to make the most of Chinese inward investment, for example, or what the technology is going to allow them to do. The other thing about the French economy is a realization that a lot of mid-tier firms, not just the global players, but the whole area of startups and small and medium-sized enterprises will just hold the key to future growth.
Now, of 3,000 participants at this year's World Economic Forum, the official statistic is that only 21% of them are women. Why do you think we see such a gender gap here in Davos?
Listen, this is something I've been talking about for the last 5 years I've been here. This is something personally I don't understand. I think the voice of women is very much needed in the Davos debate. On Friday, we will be having a conversation with a number of delegates here to just try and see how much more we can do to just close this gap in terms of just presence in the debate, because diversity of thought is what's going to take us to the next level and embrace all the opportunities we've got out there.
And it is, of course, something that's also reflected in a lot of boardrooms around the globe. Is there a concrete downside to having so few women in positions of power on an executive level?
So if you believe that diversity of thought is what's needed to embrace some of the new challenges, no generation before us has had to deal with so many things happening all at once. I was referring to artificial intelligence. We've never done that. Tax morality is another big debate. Cybersecurity, all these things need around the boardroom and around management teams, diversity of thought. Gender is one of them, but clearly we need to go beyond that. Cultural diversity, generational diversity. If we're all going to live to 100 years old, we need representatives of the millennials all the way to the older generations as well.
And that does seem to sort of tie into the theme of this year's World Economic Forum, responsive and responsible leadership.
Yes, and one element that surprised me in the conversations we've had to date is just the focus on lifelong learning. So this idea that going forward, it's not the skills you have, it's your ability to morph those skills as your career evolves, because you don't know, I don't know what the future holds. And so agility and flexibility and our ability to learn throughout our career rather than rely on a single skill set was a surprising topic for me this year.
Isabelle Allen of KPMG, thanks so much for joining us on France 24 this morning. We've just got time for a quick check of the markets. We're seeing quite a bit of movement over in Asia. The Kospi leading gains up about 1.2%. The Nikkei in Japan closing up about half a percentage point this session. The currency markets have been moving quite a lot. The dollar falling to a one-month low as Donald Trump said he thought that currency was too strong. We've also seen the pound sterling hit its highest level since 2008, following Theresa May's Brexit speech. We'll be following all those developments and more live from Davos. Our coverage continues throughout the morning.
Thanks so much, Kate Moody, our business editor, joining us there from the Swiss Alps. See you later on, Kate. And we're going to take a short break now here on Live from Paris. We'll be back in a couple of minutes' time.